Sitcoms come and go, but moms are forever. Even though these TV mothers look older than they did in the 90s, they're still killing it 3 decades later. Boy Meets World fans grew up with Betsy Randle's on-screen kids from the show's 1993 premiere to its 2000 finale. As Amy Matthews, the mother of Corey, Eric, Joshua, and Morgan, Randle was thoughtful and reasonable, as neither of the parent characters on the show were reduced to punchlines. When Randle appeared on the Pod Meets World podcast in 2023, she and her former co-star Danielle Fishel spoke about what made Amy and her husband Alan different from the square parental units on other sitcoms.
I can be funny, I can be not funny, I can be sad, I can pick it personally, I can do all that. But I was always myself. I didn't ever feel like I was playing someone else.
While Randle loved her role and her Boy Meets World castmates, she admitted to feeling like her character was neglected somewhat early on. As she observed, the writers were all boys at first, and they didn't know what to do with Mom. But as the Matthews boys grew, so did their mother's influence on their lives. Randle was even invited to reprise her role on the show's spin-off Girl Meets World in 2014, this time as a grandmother. She also attended a Dancing with the Stars taping in 2025 to support Fishel's bid for the Mirror Ball trophy. Fans haven't forgotten her either. She revealed, "People come up and thank me all the time for being the example of a perfect mom." Randle said that she also auditioned for the role of Home Improvement mom Jill Taylor, but was instead cast as one of the character's friends. She did so well in that role that she was later asked to read for Amy, and the rest is history. Home Improvement was a TV juggernaut that lit up American living rooms when it aired on ABC from 1991 to 1999. Based on the stand-up comedy of Tim Allen, the show starred Allen as Tim Taylor and Patricia Richardson as his wife, Jill. As Richardson recalls it, her time on the show was unsurprisingly full of laughs. In a 2018 interview with Closer Weekly, she revealed, "Tim and I were always cracking each other up. We came up with so much of what you saw on the set every day. It was just a fun set, and we really were a family." But as much as Richardson had fun on the set, she didn't enjoy being a celebrity. As she put it, "I really hated fame. I didn't do charity events because I was so desperate for time with my kids and husband, who was always mad I was never home, hence the divorce." Richardson struggled especially with the hours spent away from her children. As she noted, "Home Improvement had much longer days than most sitcoms. Because I was involved in all the writing, I was away from them more than I wanted and felt I missed so many things." To that end, when she left the show in 1999, she passed up another gig so that she could spend more time at home. But she returned to acting a few years later and is still active in the business today. It's not unheard of for aunts and uncles to step into the role of parents, something Caroline Rhea did as the centuries-old Hilda on Sabrina the Teenage Witch. The show, which ran from 1996 to 2003, followed the exploits of Sabrina Spellman, a 16-year-old girl who discovers that she's a witch with magical powers. Rhea almost didn't take the role, but a bad breakup inspired her to just go for it. She told Entertainment Weekly, "I had just gotten back from this horrible trip to Hawaii with the boyfriend, and the trip was so bad that we broke up before the pictures were developed." When show creator Nell Scovell gave Rhea a description of the character, the actress was intrigued. She recalled, "She said, she's a witch and she's recently imprisoned the man that didn't love her in her ring. And I was like, I'll do it." Nowadays, Rhea keeps busy with all sorts of projects, including her stand-up comedy career. Rhea's Hilda wasn't the only magical aunt on Sabrina the Teenage Witch. She also shared parenting and tutoring duties with her more level-headed sister Zelda, played by Beth Broderick. As countless 90s kids no doubt remember, she's the one who turns back into a child to save Sabrina when she's turned into stone. You couldn't possibly forget a moment like that. Broderick talked about her time making the show during a Reddit AMA, explaining, "Sabrina was a tough show to shoot. We often worked 15 hours a day just trying to get all of the special effects done correctly. That's more time working than most people can handle." But the way Broderick tells it, the cast and crew formed deep friendships and had a great time bringing the program to life. She continued, "We laughed a lot though, and there were lots of bowling nights. It was a tightly knit cast and crew." If you never got into the witchy series but still think Broderick looks familiar, you might recognize her from a bunch of other shows like Lost, Under the Dome, Sharp Objects, and more. Both Broderick and Rhea also made appearances in the Netflix series Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
Well, there you are. Where were you? We were getting worried.
Not me. I haven't been worried since bottomless mimosas.
On The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will Smith's wealthy Aunt Viv, the mother of his cousins Hillary, Carlton, and Ashley Banks, was portrayed by 2 different actors during the show's run from 1990 to 1996. For the first 3 seasons, the character was played by Janet Hubert. Daphne Maxwell Reid took her place moving forward, while Hubert's messy feud with Smith continued years after her departure. In a 2016 YouTube video, Hubert accused Smith of rejecting his Fresh Prince castmates' request for support during salary negotiations. She claimed claimed that Smith told them, "My deal is my deal and y'all's deal is y'all's deal." Hubert's exit was ultimately the result of a contract dispute gone awry. Hubert and Smith were eventually able to put their past issues behind them, and they even addressed the drama on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion special in 2020. Things got real when Hubert opened up about how Smith's public statements about her killed her career.
And I understand you were able to move forward, but you know those words, calling a Black woman difficult in Hollywood is the kiss of death.
But apologies were made, and Smith admitted that he was the one who had made the set difficult. Hubert was even willing to head back to Bel-Air when there was a new Fresh Prince on the throne. In 2025, it was announced that the OG Aunt Viv would be appearing in Peacock's dramatic reimagining of the sitcom as a different character. Across 5 seasons of the hit UPN sitcom Moesha, Sheryl Lee Ralph worked to undo all the damage that had been done by centuries of the tired, evil stepmother trope. Unfortunately, Ralph didn't get a fairy tale ending on the show. Ralph's character, Dee Mitchell, wasn't just Moesha Mitchell's stepmom, but her school's vice principal. Naturally, that made her one of the most influential adults in the high schooler's life. Sure, Dee and Moesha didn't have the greatest relationship at the start of the series, but they eventually warmed up to each other. To some, Dee might have seemed overbearing, but she was ultimately conscientious and caring. Sadly, Ralph exited the show over creative differences when she made a very Dee move by standing on her principles. She was upset about a season 5 revelation that Dee's husband, Frank, had engaged in an extramarital affair. She told AV Club in 2022, "I believe in the power of a warm and wonderful Black family because it is something we do not get to see enough. Why destroy this family?" There were people within the group that said, "Oh no, we've got to destroy it because these people are just too goody-goody. We don't have Black people like that." The show was canceled after season 6, proving that Ralph might have been onto something. She later returned to school as a kindergarten teacher on Abbott Elementary, winning a much-deserved Emmy for her efforts. Although the massively popular and hugely beloved sitcom Friends focused mainly on the lives of its 6 20 to 30-something protagonists in Manhattan, they were joined by dozens of supporting actors. One standout character was Chandler's mom, Nora Bing, who was played by blonde bombshell Morgan Fairchild. A best-selling author of romance books, Nora was never afraid to be open about her sexuality and prowess, much to the chagrin of her son. Naturally, Chandler didn't take it well when he learned that his mother kissed his friend.
Be good. I love you. Mwah.
You kissed my best Ross.
Fairchild was known for being cast as the sexy blonde in just about everything, something that doesn't bother her. As she told Broadway World, "Oh, I would love to play something else too, but I'm grateful to have had a whole career being the evil vamp. There are certainly worse ways to make a living." Amen to that. Fairchild is truly a legend with a resume that stretches from the 70s to the 2020s. Murphy Brown started its run in 1988, but Candice Bergen's titular news reporter didn't become a sitcom mom until the 1992 episode Birth 101. It was groundbreaking at the time for showing a career woman choosing single motherhood. Some people didn't like the idea of a husband being left out of the equation, like former Vice President Dan Quayle. In 2017, Bergen told Yahoo Entertainment that it was her idea to sing the song Natural Woman to Murphy's newborn son Avery. Fans got to see what the character was like as an adult when Murphy Brown returned to TV in 2018. Bergen reprised her role and Jake McDorman played Avery. Mining the life of an unmarried working mother for comedic material was a new frontier, and not everyone was ready to accept it. As director Barnett Kellman recalled, "Of course the industry was ready to applaud her and stand together on this, no question about it."
Is he too young to watch television? If he doesn't grow any teeth, is there a number I can call?
From 1995 to 1998, Cybill Shepherd gave viewers a front-row seat to the trials and tribulations of being a middle-aged woman in Hollywood on the Chuck Lorre sitcom Cybill. She and co-star Christine Baranski were a comedic dream team, while her character's teen daughter Zoe won the cold, cold hearts of the Daria generation as a delightfully sardonic and brilliant nonconformist. According to Shepherd, the show would have run longer if it wasn't for some drama that went down behind the scenes. In a 2018 appearance on The Michelle Collins Show, Shepherd recounted what went down when Les Moonves, who was the head honcho of CBS Entertainment at the time, invited her to dinner. She recalled, "He was telling me his wife didn't turn him on, some mistress didn't turn him on, and I'm watching him drink alcohol and he says, 'Why don't you let me take you home?' I said, 'No, I've got a ride.'" Shepherd still believes many of her ideas for the show were shot down because she didn't accept that ride, and Cybill was eventually canceled. Thankfully, Shepherd's TV career continued on series like The L Word and The Client List. As for Moonves, sexual misconduct allegations from other women cost him his job in 2018, and his wife Julie Chen left The Talk soon afterward. Elise Neal had a long list of acting credits to her name when she joined the cast of The Hughleys, but she was probably best known for the horror sequel Scream 2. But it was her work elsewhere that helped her land the role of a wife and mother in comedian D.L. Hughley's sitcom, which ran from 1998 to 2002. She told Essence in 2020, D.L. Hughley had seen me in Rosewood and Money Talks, so he handpicked me to play his wife on the show. I was very flattered by that. Some of her character, Yvonne's storylines revolved around her attempts to re-enter the workforce. Rather than experiencing mom guilt for working instead of homemaking, she was shamed by other moms for not having a job. When Neal and Hughley reunited on the D.L. Hughley Show in 2019, Neal reflected on what it was like dating Friday director F. Gary Gray while filming The Hughleys. She said it was difficult juggling her successful career and a high-profile relationship with someone so esteemed.
I just thought I should have been more protective.
You probably should have.
Unlike her character, Neal never had children, a topic she touched on in another interview in 2016. As she put it, just because I don't have kids doesn't mean I don't have responsibilities. She certainly wasn't lacking in the responsibility department after the Hughleys, as she stayed booked and busy with projects like Hustle and Flow, Logan, and the series The Black Hamptons.
For nearly a decade, viewers followed the exploits of the Connor family on ABC's Roseanne, which ran from 1988 to 1997. The Connors were a blue-collar working-class clan, unlike many of their wealthier TV contemporaries. The show was led by comedian Roseanne Barr, who was allowed to play an overweight character without being the butt of constant jokes. Roseanne was rebooted by ABC in 2018, but it was soon canceled after Barr posted a tweet comparing Valerie Jarrett, a former advisor to President Barack Obama, to an ape. Barr later apologized for her poor judgment, saying on a podcast, "I don't want to run off and blather on with excuses, but I apologize to anyone who thought or felt offended or who thought that I meant something that I, in fact, did not mean to my own ignorance, and there's no excuse for that ignorance." Following the cancellation, ABC moved forward with a spin-off show called The Connors, starring the remaining cast members. One of the most iconic 90s sitcoms was, of course, Full House, which aired on ABC from 1987 to 1995. The show followed the exploits of widower Danny Tanner, his brother-in-law Jesse, and his friend Joey as they banded together to raise Danny's 3 young daughters. According to Lori Loughlin, who played Aunt Becky, the show's vibe was unsurprisingly super wholesome, as well as cute and funny.
The morals are right. There's a message in every episode, how to be a good person, how to be a better person, right from wrong. It's a good message.
Unfortunately for Loughlin, people are probably less willing nowadays to look to either her or Aunt Becky for lessons on moral conduct. That's because she and her husband were among the 50 people charged with felony fraud as a result of the investigation known as Operation Varsity Blues. The couple allegedly paid a $500,000 bribe in order to have their 2 daughters admitted to the University of Southern California. And that's definitely not wholesome. Whatever happened to predictability, indeed? Brett Butler starred as Grace Kelly on Grace Under Fire, which ran on ABC from 1993 to 1998. The show depicted Grace's daily life as a recovering alcoholic and a divorced mother of 3. She was someone a lot of people could identify with, given how common her situation can be. In fact, Butler herself has had a very public struggle with substance abuse, and it's something she had to work hard at to overcome. In 2011, when she revisited the studio where the show was filmed, it brought back some mixed feelings. She told Entertainment Tonight, "The pressure was real unnerving and weird, and it's very strange. It's otherworldly. I don't romance the past. It prevents me from looking ahead at new things." After Grace Under Fire wrapped, Butler has continued working in front of the camera. Her credits include such shows as How to Get Away with Murder and The Walking Dead. She also offers her services as a psychic. Just as the ranks of single moms on TV were growing in the 80s and 90s, so too were adoptive mothers like Lisa Landry Sims on Sister Sister. The show ran from 1994 to 1999, and it starred Jackée Harry as the adoptive mother of Tia Landry, as played by Tia Mowry. The show would ultimately find a devoted fan base that's still passionate about the show today, though this wasn't a part that Harry wanted initially. In a 2016 interview with the AV Club, she confessed, "I never wanted to be a mother, and when I got the show, I was really upset. I was like, I'm not sexy anymore." Fortunately, Harry now recognizes how misguided that line of thinking is. As she put it, "The more you become a mom, you're not sexy," which of course is crap. But that's the way actors look at it. Of course, that's not true now, but everybody expects you to look differently and act differently. Looking back, Harry was a big part of the show's success, and we think she looked great, and still does. She continued to act steadily, as evidenced by the approximately 100 credits she has on her IMDb page. For millions of TV buffs, it's impossible to hear Frank Sinatra's Love and Marriage without immediately thinking about Married with Children, the iconic sitcom that aired on Fox from 1987 to 1997. The show followed the exploits of the Bundys, a dysfunctional and often crass family of 4 who managed to find themselves repeatedly getting in trouble. Katey Sagal played family matriarch Peg Bundy, who enjoyed nothing more than watching TV and going on shopping sprees. Sagal was perfect in the part, as she was unforgettably dressed to the nines in tight clothing and a giant red wig. During a 2017 interview on Nightline, she revealed, "My take on her and that relationship between her and Al Bundy was that there had to be something hot between the two of them to sustain this marriage for so many years."
I just went into my audition all dolled up.
Some of the show's humor is clearly a product of its time and would probably be offensive by today's standards, but it was extremely popular during its long run. As for Sagal, she's remained busy since Married with Children ended, including a starring role on Sons of Anarchy and a recurring gig on The Connors. When it comes to shows that capture the flavor of a time and place perfectly, The Wonder Years takes the cake. Set in the late 60s and early 70s, the show satisfied baby boomers' appetite for nostalgia, and it gave younger viewers a glance into the lives of their parents' generation. Allie Mills played Norma Arnold, a wholesome and nurturing mother to Kevin, Wayne, and Karen, who stood in contrast to abrasive dad, Jack. The show ran on ABC from 1988 to 1993. It was popular and well-liked, but then it ended abruptly after 6 seasons. According to Mills, that was because of some behind-the-scenes strife involving a lawsuit alleging harassment by the show's star, Fred Savage.
Who was like the least offensive, most wonderful, sweet human being that ever walked the face of the earth.
Eventually, the lawsuit was dropped and settled out of court, but The Wonder Years was nonetheless over for good. Mills has continued to work in film and TV, including a regular role on the soap opera The Bold and the Beautiful. One of the most unmistakable voices in TV history is the nasally cackle of Fran Drescher, who starred as Fran Fine on The Nanny. Drescher co-created the show with her former husband, Peter Mark Jacobson. Inspired by her youth growing up in Queens, New York, the show ran on CBS from 1993 to 1999. Fran doesn't start the show as a mother, but she eventually becomes a stepmother after she and Maxwell Sheffield, the man she works for, finally get married after a long courtship. Drescher still has an active career in front of the camera, including a starring role on the 2020 NBC sitcom Indebted. Additionally, she's hopeful that The Nanny will get picked up for a reboot, and she hopes it will star none other than rapper Cardi B. As Drescher sees it, both of them have funny voices after all.
What kind of a great mom, mother, daughter would we be? I mean, just amazing, I think.
Patricia Heaton is quite the busy TV actress, and she's probably best known for her work on Everybody Loves Raymond, which ran on CBS from 1996 to 2005. She played Deborah Barone, the wife of everyman Raymond Barone, and together they had 3 children, whom she did most of the caring for. Despite Deborah's frustration with the household duties she was responsible for, there was still time for plenty of tender moments. The show resonated with plenty of viewers who could easily relate to its vision of domestic life. In a 2006 interview with ABC, Heaton revealed, "I watched it recently at a friend's house with a couple and they were chuckling, but I could tell it was also hitting very close to home for them. They were kind of serious as they were watching it. It's the stuff people really deal with in their marriages." No wonder the show ran for nearly a decade. Since Raymond, Heaton has gone on to play a couple of more sitcom moms. First up was Frankie Heck on The Middle, which also ran for 9 seasons, and then she played Dr. Carol Kenny on Carol's Second Act, which only lasted 1 season. Few famous faces are more recognizable than Phylicia Rashad, who played Claire Huxtable on The Cosby Show from 1984 to 1992. Despite the crimes of Bill Cosby that have come to light since then, the impact that the show had on society, Black viewers in particular, cannot be overstated. That's because it was one of the first shows on TV to depict an upper-class, well-educated Black family, rather than just caricatures and stereotypes. The importance of the show's legacy is not lost on Rashad, who's extremely thankful to have been a part of it.
It is such a blessing. It is such a gift. It is such a privilege to do work that means something to people.